The agenda of the Project 2025 Trump regime couldn't be clearer. It's the same set of goals the American right wing has always had. I don't need to lecture you, dear reader. I need only hand you the keys that will clarify what you already, in your perceptive wisdom, suspect. Today, I will talk about a pillar of right wing domestic policy: resegregation. In the 2024 election, voters cast their ballots for a variety of reasons. But that election was not about Trump. It wasn't about Biden or Harris either. It also was not about inflation, abortion, or the economy, and far less about trans people and immigration than has been widely asserted. That election, like all elections, was about power, both tangible and perceived power. Understanding power and the different approaches to power relations is one of the keys to understanding what's going on in the U.S. I will explain in brief here, but it takes a book to fully explain it, which is why I wrote one. What's the plan? What's the goal? Whose plan and goals? The open secret of the 2024 election was Project 2025. The detailed scheme for a corporate takeover of the federal government with the supporting effort of appeasement of the reactionary base. As I wrote previously, every action the new regime has taken was directed by Project 2025's manifesto. That is, everything except Trump's inane blatherings about Greenland, which is most likely designed to be a distraction from the actual agenda. And yes, even today, I still believe that Greenland is largely a misdirection. Trump is a sideshow. Elon Musk and his Doge madness was a freak show. Those are the distractions from the actual agenda, a right-wing counteroffensive against the power gains Americans have achieved over the previous 70 years. You have to grant Project 2025 this. They told you what they were going to do. The Project 2025 agenda. There are two prongs to the Project 2025 attack on America: resegregation at home and recolonization abroad. Look back at the actions the Project 2025 Trump regime has taken so far. Their every single domestic action has been to reassert a hierarchical power structure that concentrates power in the few, leaving the majority with less power. Every foreign policy action has been to reassert a similar hierarchical power structure that asserts the U.S. as a superpower, with other nations being either vassals or enemies. Segregation and colonialism are the two prongs in the fork of American nationalism, that particular brand of right-wing ideology that has been woven into the fabric of America since its founding. I wrote about American nationalism in my most recent book, Why Trump?, pointing out that this regime is the most current manifestation of a long history. I wasn't the only person pointing this out. When most people hear the word segregation, they understandably think of the southern U.S.'s racial segregation. But that was only one part of the structural injustices built into American society. We should not diminish in any way the centuries of exploitation and violence against black people. But we also need to acknowledge that other groups of people were denied full status in the U.S. The right wing wants to restore those denials. All of them. Their goal is resegregation in the legal system, in the economy, and in communities across the country. This is what the right wing does. Worldwide and throughout history, the right wing has been the push to concentrate power into a segregated, two-tiered society. What was true in ancient Athens was true in medieval feudalism and modern totalitarianism. Power was concentrated in one class that had power over others. To talk about that historical fact isn't being Marxist, it certainly isn't being woke, it's recognizing reality. So let's talk about a real resistance, not the fake resistance so many YouTube channels talk about. Another historical reality is that not everyone has gone along with that concentration of power by the right wing. The fight back has always been there, usually as rebellion for the sake of survival. In the 1700s, the idea of changing society away from the concentration of power was called republicanism, meaning removing the power structure of monarchy and replacing it with a republic in which power is more circulated among more people. And yes, the word Republican is now rather misused in the US. By the early 1800s, the push for greater circulation of power became known as being left-wing. The push to retain concentration of power in a few became known as being right-wing. Those definitions are still accurate, even though the meanings of left-wing and right-wing have been muddied by the media landscape and political propaganda. In the 1900s, labor unions, the civil rights movement, feminism, and LGBT rights movements, among others, struggled for recognition of people disempowered by segregation. These were and are left-wing movements that push for greater circulation of power. These movements empowered many people, but angered some people who prefer the segregation and two-tiered society that favored them. These latter people, the right wing, want to reverse the historical trend toward greater circulation of power and return to the two-tiered America they prefer. It's not really make America great again as much as it's make America feudalist again. Let's look more closely at the Project 2025 Trump regime's push for resegregation in the U.S. If we want to resist this injustice, we have to understand the right-wing agenda and what motivates it. The current U.S. Republican Party is nothing more, nothing less, and nothing else than a push to return the U.S. to a hard right-wing two-tiered state. It's about power, the power to resegregate America and return it to an empire. Realizing this is the other key to understanding what's going on right now in the U.S. Yes, let's talk about DEI, diversity, equality, inclusion. Those aren't ideals, those are the central principles of a just society. But those principles are precisely what the right wing is against. Anti-DEI is thinly veiled code for desiring to reassert structural injustice. Domestically, the corporatists behind Project 2025 and the MAGA reactionaries want to restore segregation. The unholy alliance of conservatives, libertarians, and reactionaries desire a neo-feudalist state in which power is concentrated in an elite class that has the power to reestablish segregation. This attack aims to remove blacks and women from jobs and also to suppress free expression and communication by, for example, banning books featuring non-whites and non-heteronormative people. And it means ICE agents allowed to abduct and even kill people on American streets, among other things. That is what they mean by making America great again, reasserting segregation. In terms of foreign policy, the rank-and-file MAGA reactionaries just want non-white immigrants removed. But the corporatists behind Project 2025 want something more. They want to return to the ultimate right-wing concentration of power, colonialism. Their vision of making America great again is returning to the idea of empire. The Monroe Doctrine and the libertarian ideal of American corporations being allowed free rein to plunder resources and exploit people. Why tariffs? Trump will say it's the art of the deal, when all it is extortion in service of colonialism. Tariffs are a form of mercantilism that seek to assert economic dominance over domestic consumers and foreign companies. Why threaten to pull out of NATO? To change transatlantic relations with partnership to American supremacy by way of isolationism, seeing America as too pure to be sullied by being involved with the rest of the nations as equals, dominance and power. Why take over Venezuela's oil? Do you even need to ask? So let's use the keys. I recommend interpreting each and every action taken by the Project 2025 Trump regime by employing these two keys: that the right wing is about increasing the concentration of power, and the current American right wing has the goals of resegregation and recolonialization. These keys unlock the door to understanding what's going on right now in the U.S. In turn, that understanding will empower you toward defending yourself, America, and the world. Sensationalism and mockery did not defeat Trump in 2024, and continuing that failing approach won't defeat the current Project 2025 Trump regime. We win by engaging with substance and providing meaningful alternatives, not going lower than those who go low against us. For more information, check out my other videos, How Midas Touch and the Rest of the Fake Left Help Trump and the Rest of the Right Wing, and The Cowardice of Charlie Kirk.